I didn't think much of it at the time. Now I replay that night more than I'd like to admit. It was a Thursday, end of quarter. Everyone was behind on reports. I work on the 7th floor of a mid-sized accounting firm downtown. Nothing dramatic. Grey carpet, fluorescent lights that hum if you stay quiet long enough. A break room with a refrigerator that never quite closes all the way. You know the kind of place. Functional, forgettable, exactly the sort of environment you stop really seeing after a few months. The walls are too white. The desks are too wide. Everything was chosen to be neutral, inoffensive, to keep nobody distracted from the work. During the day, it does the job. During the day, the space is full of voices, phones ringing, the smell of burned coffee sitting in the pot that no one remembers to change. During the day, it's just an office. At night, it's something else entirely. That week, we'd been staying late almost every night. By 8:40 p.m., most of the team had already packed up. I remember watching them leave in small groups, laughing in tired voices, promising to finish it tomorrow. There was something oddly comforting in that ritual, the collective performance of temporary surrender. Everyone pretending the deadline was flexible, that a few more hours of sleep were worth more than the unfinished spreadsheet. I said I'd stay and send the final reconciliation file. It wasn't unusual. I've always preferred quiet offices. There's a kind of clarity that comes when the human noise leaves. Thinking flows differently, cleaner, without the constant social static of a room full of people. I'd never said that to any colleague. It sounds strange. By 9:12 p.m., the floor was empty. The building gets strangely hollow after business hours. The HVAC system shifts to a lower setting. You don't notice the exact moment it happens, but suddenly the air feels heavier, stiller. The elevators move less frequently. You can hear their mechanical whir from somewhere below, descending to floors with no one on them. The city noise outside becomes more noticeable, like it's pressing against the windows, trying to get in. But it never quite makes it. It stays out there, distant and unreal. I put on my headphones, opened the spreadsheet. At 9:47 p.m., the overhead lights flickered once, not off, just dimmed, then steady again. I paused, but didn't take off the headphones. Old building, happens sometimes. At 10:03 p.m., I got a Teams notification. Still here? It was from Daniel, except Daniel had left at 8:35. I watched him wait for the elevator. He had his jacket folded over one arm, tie loosened, said something about traffic. I nodded. The elevator came. He stepped in. The doors closed. I replied, "Yeah," finishing up. 3 dots appeared almost immediately, then disappeared. No response. I assumed he'd sent it from his phone. Maybe forgot. Maybe woke the app by accident while putting it in his pocket. These things happen. At 10:26 p.m., I stood up to stretch. That's when I noticed the conference room at the end of the hall. The lights inside were on. I was sure I'd turned them off earlier. We'd had a 6 p.m. meeting in there. I was the last one out. I remember standing in the doorway, checking there was no one left inside, hitting the switch. The room went dark as I walked back to my desk. I know that. I stared at the glass wall for a few seconds. No movement inside, just the long table. 12 chairs. The reflection of my own silhouette in the glass, distorted by the angle, looking slightly taller than I should be. I walked down the hallway. My footsteps sounded louder than they should have. The carpet absorbs sound during the day, but in that moment, every step seemed to echo, as though the empty floor was amplifying whatever was left. The door was closed. The lights were definitely on. I reached for the handle. Locked. We never lock that room during business hours, not even after. It's an internal conference room, nothing of value inside, no reason to lock it. The key isn't even on the security panel on the floor. I had never seen that door locked in 2 years of working there. I checked my phone. 10:31 p.m. I went back to my desk, told myself it was probably the cleaning staff passing through, but the cleaning crew usually arrives at 11:30, and they don't lock internal rooms. In 2 years, I'd never seen them do that. At 10:48 p.m., my headphones cut out, not disconnected, just silence. The audio timeline was still moving on my screen, but there was no sound. I tapped the side. Nothing. Checked the connection. Everything seemed fine. The audio file was still running. It was as if the sound had simply stopped existing. That's when I heard it. A chair scraping across the floor from the direction of the conference room, not loud. Just a slow drag, deliberate, the kind of sound a chair makes when someone stands up slowly, pushing it back with the weight of their own body. I froze, waited. No second sound. I took off the headphones completely. The office was silent again. The kind of silence that feels deliberate, not the absence of noise, something closer to a presence, as if the silence itself were thick, aware, waiting. I stood up, walked halfway down the hall. The conference room lights were off. I was certain they'd been on 15 minutes earlier. The door was slightly open, just a few inches. I hadn't touched it. I didn't go all the way there. I told myself this was exactly how people overthink things. Old building, automatic timers, air pressure shifting doors. There's a rational explanation for each thing in isolation. It's only when you put them all together that it starts to feel wrong. I went back to my desk. At 11:02 p.m. I decided to finish quickly and leave. That's when I noticed something small. The reconciliation file I'd been editing was closed. I hadn't closed it, and there was a new version saved in the folder. Q4 Final V3. I only ever make 2 versions, Draft and Final. I opened it. The numbers were identical, except for one line. A single cell had been changed, not a formula. A comment in the margin. It read, "You should go." No name attached, no timestamp visible, just that sentence. I sat staring at it for a stretch of time I can't quite calculate. It might have been 30 seconds. It might have been 5 minutes. There was something about the tone of it that unsettled me more than it should have. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't sinister in the obvious way. It was almost considerate, like whoever had written it was doing me a favor. "You should go," like a warning. I checked the version history. It showed activity at 10:57 p.m., edited by me. I hadn't touched it. At 11:14 p.m. I finally packed my laptop. I didn't check the conference room again. The elevator took longer than usual to arrive. I stood in front of the closed doors, listening to the mechanism inside, the cable whir, the hum of the motor, the click as the cab locked into place. When the doors finally opened, the elevator was already on the 7th floor. Doors closed. No one inside. As it descended, it stopped at the 5th floor. No one had called it. The doors opened. The hallway on 5 was dark. Not the partial dark of overnight lights. Total darkness. Completely off. I stood looking into that void for those long seconds while the doors stayed open, as if the elevator were waiting for me to step out. to walk into it. I didn't move. After a few seconds, the doors closed. I hadn't pressed anything. When I reached the lobby at 11:19 p.m., the security guard looked up from his desk. "You're the last one?" he asked. "I think so," I said. He hesitated. The kind of hesitation that isn't about finding the right words. It's about deciding whether to say anything at all. That's strange. I waited. I logged everyone out at 9:30. He turned his monitor slightly. But there was still a badge swipe at 10:58, 7th floor. My badge was still in my pocket. I didn't say anything. He studied the screen for a second longer. "Probably a delay in the system," he muttered. I nodded, stepped outside. The air felt colder than it should have for that time of year. I stood on the sidewalk waiting for my ride, phone in hand, and realized I was checking the Teams app without really meaning to. One last notification, sent at 11:16 p.m. from Daniel. I didn't send that. No follow-up. I looked up at the building, 7th floor, one window still lit, the conference room. The light turned off while I was watching, slowly, not all at once, not like someone hitting a switch. More like when someone steps back from a window and their presence fades from view. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I haven't stayed late since. And sometimes, at exactly 10:57 p.m., my phone screen lights up. No notification, just the lock screen activating on its own. Every time, I stare at it for a moment, waiting. Not sure what I'm waiting for. A message, a name, some kind of explanation that never comes. Then the screen goes dark again, and the silence returns.